Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Reminder that these episodes are my way of what I call going first. And the questions or the themes that I talk about in here are typically from conversations that I'm having, or a lot of them are actually from questions that people who listen have sent to me to say, I'd love to know your perspective on this. What do you feel? What do you see in other leaders that you work with? And so they're really meant to be kind of quicker bites of inspiration or maybe motivation or a reality check. What's going on in your life? So I would love for you to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That ensures you get an update every time we launch a new solo episode or an episode with a guest. And the only way that these messages, the lessons, the inspiration that I share gets in front of more people is if we have ratings and reviews. And in the past, I have been a horrible podcast host and I have not asked for those things. But what I've realized is it's the only way to amplify important conversations. Conversations that normalize hard parts of life for people is if you leave a rating and review. So how about we do it right now, in the middle of the podcast, wherever you found this podcast. How about if you left a rating and you left just a couple of sentences when I get done to review how this helped you, maybe even give me other questions that you would love to hear in a future episode. I appreciate all of you being here. And today I'm going to talk about something that feels very personal to me. It's this word burnout. And I have a weird relationship with this word. I think it's really overused. I do not think it's a new conversation. I think it might be one of the most overused words that I hear from leaders of anything right now. And what I'm realizing is I'm using words when people say, hey, how are you? And my immediate reaction is busy. Like, that's just a stupid answer. I'm sorry. Like, every time it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, do I really have nothing better to share? And because I have these conversations, like off the record, right? Deeper conversations with a lot of leaders, I'm starting to realize for myself and for others, what's actually happening beneath the surface when our answer is I'm busy or I'm absolutely burnt out. And I'm starting to assess my own life over the past 18 months and some pretty big shifts that I've made for myself to get honest with where I was carrying stuff that I didn't need to carry, where I was stuck on things that I didn't need to be stuck on. I was creating my own problems because I needed to change. I needed to be willing to go first and change something in my life instead of waiting for something else to change for me. And so I wanted to bring it back to the subject of burnout because, right or wrong, I think that word is a word many of us associate with how we feel, right? We use it to describe the feeling of just kind of kids and work and life and, everything going on in our society right now. And it's something we use to just talk about. I feel like I need a vacation, right? Maybe I just need a few less meetings, a free afternoon, or a few days away from the demands of work. And what I've realized through my own journey is that all of those things can help because rest matters. It really matters. And you need space to recover. But what I've realized in examining my own burnout is that it's not always caused by working too many hours or having too many things going on. For me, oftentimes comes from carrying too much responsibility for too long. When I begin feeling responsible for every decision, every outcome, every problem, everyone's emotions that I'm carrying, is everybody happy? Are they getting what they need? Right? Like I have to hold it all together for everyone all the time. And so what I've realized in talking with leaders is it's not the leaders who hate their jobs who are burnt out the most. It's often the ones who love the work they do. They care so deeply about the work they do, their people, their companies. They enjoy doing the work, building something, solving problems. But that sense of responsibility is often what makes you successful and what causes burnout, because it can quietly turn into a responsibility for everything. Every problem finds its way back to you. Even when you aren't ultimately accountable for the result, it still gets piled on your plate. And a lot of this is not even visible. So it just stays in your brain. I just had this conversation last week with a leader and he was struggling with something. And I said, okay, so what you're describing to me, he's like, I just wish that they would be accountable for it. And so what was happening, what I described to him was, you can't let it go because you aren't confident that other person is going to pick it up and run with it. So what happens is all of those hundreds of things that you can't let go remain in your brain. They take up space. And then you add all the things you are responsible for and that you should be focusing on. And eventually your brain's full. It can't function. It can't think clearly. And a lot of times your identity starts to feel like I'm the person that can hold all these things together. The person who makes sure it all gets done, even if it's not me doing it. And honestly, I've been there and it's my own fault, but it's a different kind of leadership exhaustion. It's not simply like I'm tired and I need a day or two off. This is the fatigue of truly believing there's nothing you can set down. There's nothing you can stop carrying. And I think that tension is one we don't talk about enough in leadership. The better you perform, the more successful you are, the more people trust you, the more responsibility you carry, right? Your business grows, your team expands. All of the decisions you're making are so different from the decisions 5 years ago. They're so much more complex. More people are depending on your judgment and your life experience, what you've seen before, and your guidance on how to move forward. We have more stakeholders than ever that are looking to us, that are expecting us to carry it all. And right now, I'll be honest, I'm carrying this in my own business. I'm navigating it. There are things I have done for years because I was capable of doing them, because I was the founder, because the business needed me to do them. And for a long time, those were the right things for me to do. It helped move us forward. It allowed me to build what I truly care about in Keystone. But now I'm finally starting to recognize that there are people who should be doing things and they can do them better than I can. There are responsibilities that used to energize me, but no longer represent my best use of time. There are places where I'm continuing to hold on, sometimes white knuckling it, and it's making it harder for my leaders in my organization instead of easier. And this is not an easy realization to come to, because myself, just like a lot of other leaders, is I'm attached to being the person who knows all the things, who fixes all the things, who decides all the things. My usefulness is part of my identity. And the work I'm now having to do is to figure out how to step away from some of those things that I used to identify with. And I'm beginning to see it differently. I'm beginning to celebrate the things I'm letting go of that other people can take on. What it's also forced me to do is to recognize my own true burnout in the true sense of the word, where this is not something that recovery is just stepping away from it. It's about how do I clear the mental space and how do I imagine a different way of being that isn't the same doing that I've always been. This is why I talk so much about executive retreats and the impact that we are having on these retreats. It's so gratifying to me to see leaders truly step away from all the noise and get clarity and solve problems they have been dealing with for years in just a few short hours, because their brains have time to think. They have time to assess. Your subconscious actually has time to come forward. And so recovery is something that I've really changed my relationship to. It's something I used to feel like rest was lazy. And I know some of you are probably nodding your heads because you feel the same way. And I'm starting to call it recovery instead of rest, because I'm not going to nap my way out of this burnout, but I can recover my way out of it. And so that looks different. It's not one dramatic decision that's going to fix it. It's 1,000 small ones that seem reasonable, and I can keep moving. I take ownership of the issue and I change one thing this week that's going to help me release some of the responsibility that maybe I don't need to carry. So my question for you today, just to reflect on, is what are you carrying today that might not be yours to carry? Maybe it's someone else's decision. Maybe it's someone else's learning and they might not make the right decision, and that's okay. Where am I feeding other people's expectations of what I'm supposed to do, who I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to carry, and what I'm supposed to solve? So that's my question. What are you carrying that may no longer be yours to carry? And the answer to that question is not going to probably immediately change the number of hours you work. But my hope is it changes the way you lead. It might change the way you experience the work you do. And it might help you see what becomes possible when you let others carry some of the load. The gift it is to them, and the gift it can be to you, and the next thing that we need you to take on. The next big thing we need you to bring forward, to share your wisdom, to have the energy to help others move forward in times of uncertainty. As leaders, we have to be healthy. We have to put our own oxygen masks on first. So this is a reminder for all of us. There's no finish line for what I'm talking about today. All there is constant evolution and being a little bit better each day than you were the day before. So I hope this lesson or this idea resonated with you. I hope it helps you maybe to step back, do a little reflection, do some journaling. I don't know, think about it on your commute home. How are you going to shift what you're carrying and put a really strong lens on it and make sure it's what you're supposed to be carrying, and that you're not forsaking other things that the world needs you to carry instead? Thank you for being here. Again, ratings and reviews, please. If this helped in any way, share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Share it with someone who needs a bit of a reframe. The more we get these messages out here, I truly believe the more we can start to normalize this idea that success is an easy road. We know all of the things and how we need to do them. No, it is a constant learning. But my goal is to start to share some of this life experience and to metabolize the experience so that it can produce wisdom that others can learn from. That's why we're here. So I challenge you to figure out, when it comes to your own capacity, when it comes to those feelings of burnout, what areas do you need to go first right now? Thanks, everyone.